Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to look at the percent change and percent error. Okay, so the percent of change is a ratio that compares the quantity in the change in a quantity to the original amount. To find the percent of change, you divide the amount of change by the original amount and then change it into a percent. So the percent of change, the amount of change divided by the original amount. And you can think about it as new minus the original or old divided by the original. So I think about it as new minus old divided by old. If the original quantity is an increase, the percent of change is called a percent of increase. If the original quantity is decrease, the percent of change is called a percent decrease. And with our formula, new minus old divided by old, you can look at the sign of that answer. If you get a positive answer, that means it's a percent increase. If you get a negative answer, that means it's a percent decrease. Okay, a similar idea is called relative error. The relative error is a ratio that compares the inaccuracy of an estimate or amount of error to the actual amount. The relative error is also called the percent error. So it's a similar process. To find the percent error, it's the amount of error divided by the actual amount. To find the relative error, you would do measured minus actual divided by actual. So I think about it as measured minus actual divided by actual. Okay, the smaller your percent error is, the more accurate your measurement is. So let's get some examples. The price of a bicycle was increased from $300 to $450. What is the percent increase in the price? So I'm going to write down my formula first. New minus old divided by old. So the new price is $450. The old price is $300. And I'm going to divide that entire amount by the original price, $300. So $450 minus $300 is $150, divided by $300, which then as a decimal would be 5/10. And as a percent, it would be a 50% increase. Because the answer is a positive, I know the amount went up. An item was selling for $72 was reduced to $60. Find the percent decrease in the price. Round your answer to the nearest tenth of a percent. So again, I'm going to start with my formula. New minus old divided by old. The new price is 60. The old price was 72. So now when I do 60 minus 72, I get a negative answer. So I get negative 12 divided by 72. I'm going to use my calculator to divide that out. So I'm getting negative 1600ths with the 6 repeating. So as a percent, that would be negative 16 6/10 repeating percent. The negative is telling me it's a percent decrease. Now they tell me to round my answer to the nearest tenth of a percent. So my rounded answer would be negative 16 7/10%. And the negative is telling me that this is a percent decrease. So it's 16 7/10% decrease. Okay, our next problem. A baseball team has 80 players shows up for tryouts last year. This year had 96 players show up for tryouts. Find the percent increase in players from last year to this year. So again, we're doing new minus old divided by old. Okay, this year they had 96. Last year they had 80. So it's 96 minus 80, all divided by 80. Subtract 96 minus 80 is 16, divided by 80. Use my calculator. My decimal is 2/10. Change it to a percent. it's a 20%, and because the answer is positive, that tells me it's an increase. The odometer in Mr. Washington's car does not work properly. The odometer measured 13 2/10 miles for his last trip to the hardware store, but he knows the distance traveled is actually 15 miles. What is his percent error? So now I'm looking at measured minus actual divided by the actual. So the odometer measured it to be 13 2/10. The actual is 15. And then I'm going to divide that entire thing by 15. So using my calculator, 13 2/10 minus 15 is negative 1 8/10. I'm going to divide that by 15. I get as a decimal negative 12/100, which would be negative 12%. That negative is telling me that it's an underestimate. So it's a 12% underestimate error. So under means that it was too low. Okay, our next example, Kayla's class went on a field trip to an aquarium. One tank had 30 clownfish. She miscounted the total number of clownfish in the tank and recorded it as 25 fish. What is Kayla's percent error? So measured minus actual divided by the actual. Okay, Kayla measured it to be 24. The actual is 30. So I get 24 minus 30, all divided by 30. 24 minus 30 gives me negative 6 divided by 30. So I get negative 2/10, which would be negative 20%. So she underestimated it with an error of 20%. So this would be a 20% underestimate. Okay. I hope this video helps. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.